Welcome to the show. It's your girl Sarah right here on Relax Radio. Now, I'm super excited to be here on this beautiful Wednesday morning because you're tuned in to the sunrise, and I'm here to keep you company all the way until 9 a.m. And from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m., Hiba and I will be here to, keep you entertained, to talk about a lot of interesting things with you as well. But until then, until Hiba comes along, I will be talking to you about miscarriages, right? Now, the reason I want to talk to you about miscarriages is obviously because this is something that a lot of people have recently been talking about, or rather, recently they've started sharing their experiences about their miscarriages, right? Now, the reason I want to actually share this with you is actually because I want to make sure that you are aware and that you understand about the impacts that people, the impacts of a miscarriage, physical impacts, mental impacts, and what exactly we need to do to essentially move forward and change the way miscarriages are viewed. Okay. Now, the reason I felt like talking about this as well is obviously because Carrie Johnson recently announced that she's pregnant with her second child just a few months after her miscarriage, right? And we know that her miscarriage left her heartbroken. And even people like Meghan Markle, Chrissy Teigen, so many other celebrities have actually spoken up about their experiences of their miscarriages, right? Now, that's why we're going to be having this conversation, because we want to make sure that all of the people who are suffering from miscarriages they basically have a safe space to discuss these things. All right, so like I said, you're tuned into the sunrise with me, Sarah, and I'm here to keep you company all the way until 9 a.m. So until then, make sure you text me on 07852473473. Share your thoughts with me, share your opinions with me, because I want to know what you're thinking, I want to know what you're feeling, and I want to know whatever it is that I want to know whatever it is that you are experiencing right now as well. Let me know how your day went. Let me know how you plan to go along with your day, because I'm pretty sure we can share that with everyone who's listening in as well. All right, or if you have any thoughts, if you have any opinions with regard to miscarriages, with regard to the way society stigmatizes miscarriages and talks about miscarriages, please do get in touch with me and share your thoughts with me on the number 07852473473, because I would love to know what you have to say. All right, and don't forget to actually like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. That way you can actually make sure that you're always informed, you're always updated, and sharing your thoughts with us. You're sharing your thoughts with us right here on Relax Radio. Don't forget to do that. All right, now let's quickly head into our conversation, and also before we head into our conversation, I want to very quickly remind you that you can in fact download an app which is available on both the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. That way, make sure you're always informed, you're updated about everything that happens, not just here in the UK, but in fact in the entire world as well. Make sure to join into the conversation live. But right now, let's actually head into our conversation, which is basically about breaking the stigma that surrounds miscarriages, right? Now, the reason I want to have this conversation, the reason I want to share this conversation essentially, is because Carrie Johnson recently announced that she's expecting a second child. But, however, after saying that, she also said that the miscarriage that she suffered a few months back left her very heartbroken. All right, and the reason I felt like I had to share this with you is actually because right now, even though it's the 21st century, even though it's 2021, and we've moved forward and we've made a lot of progress in terms of women's rights and women's opportunities and even health and whatnot, there is still a lot of stigma that surrounds miscarriages. And I have to say that this stigma is absolutely unnecessary. However, the stigma still exists, and it makes it very hard for women who've gone through miscarriages, for women who've been through that experience, to come forward and talk about it, because of the way society views them, because of the shame that is attached to that. And it's in fact quite a terrible feeling. All right, because what we're doing by attaching this sort of fame, by attaching this sort of embarrassment with it, is we basically make it very hard for them to open up about their experiences, which can in fact have very detrimental effects. All right, so like I said, the prime minister's wife was actually 33 years old. She announced on she announced this news on Instagram, saying that she was in fact hoping for a rainbow baby, right? And she said she was hoping for a rainbow baby this Christmas. And she said that or rather, she wrote that while she felt blessed to be pregnant again, she also felt like a bag of nerves. And this is, a common feeling that any woman goes through when they are pregnant, right? Now, if you don't know what a rainbow baby is, it's basically a term that is used for a child that is born after a miscarriage, or even a stillbirth or a neonatal death. All right. And that's why they're named a rainbow baby. All right. So in a post on Instagram, she also wrote, at the beginning of this year she had a miscarriage which left her heart broken, but she feels incredibly blessed to be pregnant again, but she also feels like a bag of nerves. Now, something else we need to keep in mind is that fertility issues are in fact really, really hard for a lot of people. And even now, we tend to always blame infertility or some of these fertility issues on women alone, right? I mean, how many cases have you heard when the reason the woman couldn't get pregnant was in fact because the man was infertile, but the woman still kept getting blamed for the infertility issues, right? So again, there are so many perspectives of it. Fertility issues are very, very hard for a lot of people, and particularly when they're trying to come up and open up about those fertility issues on platforms like Instagram. It can actually only look like everything is going well. However, that's really not the case. Right now, make sure you stay tuned, because I will be back to keep sharing more on this. But until then, you've obviously got to stay tuned, because we're going to head into this small break right now.
The valuations that you place on an asset are always behind you. It's always in hindsight. It's never in front of you. And that's one of the challenges, right? Because you're always valuing what happened yesterday, and what you need is what's going to happen tomorrow. What am I saving or investing for? Why am I doing it? When will I need the money? And how much money do I need? Yeah. So that's quite important, because when you're looking at your net worth, you got to start with saying, well, what do I want my net worth to be? So that there's a goal. And then work backwards. How do I get there? And if I can start with £50 or $50 a week, if I save that every week, and you can go online and use calculators online. I don't have to teach you the maths behind it, but you can say, okay, and if I get a 3% return and I put this away for how long will it take to reach my goal? And that's called just this basic cash flow projection calculations. And it's what we use in financial planning all the time. What we say to clients is we say, okay, what is your goal? What is your objective? Where do you want to go to? And we discuss that in a lot of detail and over most of the meeting. And then the rest of it is saying, okay, in your exact circumstances, with your risk profile, with how you feel about investments and pensions and taxes and where you are and who you work with, and your education level or your lack of education or how involved you want to be. There's a lot of variables that we take into account, and then we say, okay, here's a plan. You start like this, that's great. And then we review it all the time. And we say, okay, we need to increase it, we're on track, we're not, this is what is happening. Because remember, when you're dealing with assets, the valuations that you place on an asset are always behind you. It's always in hindsight. It's never in front of you. And that's one of the challenges, right? Because you're always valuing what happened yesterday, and what you need is what's going to happen tomorrow. So that's a struggle. Yeah. So there are strategies everywhere from £50 a week up to £100 million, and they're different. Right? They range differently from everyone, but and from country to country, to be fair. Different countries have different tax laws, so different vehicles. But from your point of view, at the sort of normal end, I'm not going to call it the low end because I'm in that boat as well. It's as tax efficient as you can get it. That's where you start. You use all the tax efficiencies, and then you step up into different things.
Welcome back to the show. It's your girl Sarah right here on Relax Radio. Now you're tuned into the sunrise, and I'm super excited to be here on this beautiful Wednesday morning to be sharing, news for you, news that is relevant here in the United Kingdom, but in fact relevant all over the world as well. Because here at Relax Radio, we talk about a whole number of topics. We talk about science, we talk about health, we talk about sports, whatever it is that you are interested in, we talk about all of it. All right, so make sure you stay tuned. Make sure you let me know your thoughts and your ideas, because you can text me on 078 You can text me, you can call me, whatever it is that you prefer. Please do get in touch with me so you can share your thoughts, your ideas with regard to miscarriages. All right, so make sure to share them with me. All right. Now, before we head into our conversation, I want to very quickly remind you that you can, in fact, be a part of the show. All you need to do is just get in touch with me, and you can do that by following us on our socials, which is Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Right? Go like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, and don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube as well. All right, because that way you can actually make sure that you're always listening to the conversation. You're always a part of the conversation, because I want to know what you're thinking. I want to know what you're feeling as well. And another thing that you can do to actually make sure you're in touch is actually to get on board our show through our app, which is available on both the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. It's absolutely free of charge. You can listen in at anywhere, from anywhere in the world at any time of the day. All right, so that is all for you. So make sure you do that. But right now, I actually want to get back into a conversation about breaking the stigma around miscarriages. All right, now, the reason I want to actually talk about this is because, miscarriages are something that a lot of women go through. All right. However, having said that, even though a lot of women go through it, there is, in fact, a very negative sort of, how would I put it, a very negative perception, negative attitude in society towards women who go through miscarriages, who deal with miscarriages, who, go through that struggle. Right. And so, my question is, why do we, why is it stigmatized so much? Right? If you have any thoughts on this question, please do get in touch with me and share them with me. But why exactly do you think miscarriages are stigmatized so much? Right? And look, that's a whole conversation we're going to be having as well. But miscarriages are mostly stigmatized because of the way, because of the way you view motherhood, because of the way you view being pregnant and whatnot, right? Which we're going to be talking about in a few minutes. So, like Carrie Johnson said on her Instagram post, right? She said that fertility issues are in fact hard for a lot of people to talk about. And let's face it, right? Even though we are in 2021, even though we've moved forward and progressed in terms of women's rights and women's health, and even sexual and reproductive health rights and whatnot, some of the mindsets that are there, some of the perceptions that are there are in fact very archaic, right? And the reason I'm saying that is because there are so many women out there who go through miscarriages, but we still keep endorsing this whole culture of shame, silence, and even stigma. Right now, like I said, a lot of celebrities have recently spoken about their miscarriages, their experience of miscarriages, and how they struggle to actually get back to normal, to get back to how life worked and whatnot. However, when even though we have that conversation and we have so much of celebrities talking about it and opening up about it, that still hasn't taken away from all of the stigma and the shame that is attached to it as well. All right, now, according to the World Health Organization, about 1 in 4 pregnancies actually end in miscarriages, right? Which, if you take it, if you take the world as a whole, which is about 25% of pregnancies end in miscarriages, right? So obviously, this is a problem that happens quite often, except it's not talked about as often as you should, right? Now, too many babies still die in pregnancy or in childbirth, and it's 2021 where everything is so evolved, technology is evolved, but still, however, there are so many children out there who die during pregnancy or even after childbirth, right? Now, the numbers that are in fact there are in fact quite heartbreaking because, like I said, 25% of pregnancies end in miscarriage, and this is generally before 28 weeks. And 2.6 million babies are in fact stillborn, and half of them actually die in childbirth. So these numbers, if anything, will show you how how terrible and how traumatizing it is, because a lot of these miscarriages, they still happen. It's something that happens to most women. However, not a lot of them come up and talk about their experience, because like I said, you have, or we have this culture that sort of shames them and makes them feel guilty for making that decision, or not necessarily making that decision, but for being in that situation. All right, so obviously that's why we're talking about this now. We're going to very quickly head into a small break, and after that we will be back to keep talking about this. So until then, make sure you stay tuned, because we're going to head into a small break now.